What's up, everyone? Thank you for listening to another episode of the Sawyer Brothers Show. Please be sure to follow and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and then follow our podcast accounts and SDI accounts on all socials. We post daily on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. We appreciate the support and listens greatly. Okay, episode 39. We have a great episode here for you today. This episode will be broken down into two segments. Segment 1 will be the first part of a 3-part series I'm going to be doing where I give tips to players, coaches, and parents. And then the second segment will be an interview I did with Drew Welsch, a current pro hockey player. So we'll jump right into that first segment. Like I said, I wanted to basically put together 5 tips that could be used for or that could be given to hockey players. So this is not just something for, like a specific age group or specific level. They're general tips that can be used for any age and any level. So the first tip, have fun. It's self-explanatory, it's simple, but it is the most important part of all of the tips on this list. A lot of times we get distracted by, the amount of work that you have to put in and different things that you're focused on. And maybe you're in a cold streak or you're going through a time where your team's losing, whatever it may be. Focus on the fact that the game is fun. And if you're not having fun, you need to evaluate some other things that are causing that, because this is a great sport. The sport is supposed to be fun. So don't forget to just take a step back and focus on that very fundamental part of all of this. Be a student of the game. This is extra important in today's game where so much of it is focused on the physical skills. Of course, handling the puck, shooting the puck, skating are very, very important. But if you can't think the game and you don't have an understanding of the game, those skills are only going to take you so far. We live in a world where technology is right at our fingertips all day long, and there are so many resources to help you with your understanding of the game. You can watch games on TV and listen to the analysts during those periods and during those clips. You can go on social media and follow different coaches and hear different things from players and coaches. You can listen to your coaches more for your actual team. When they're talking about systems and they're going over video review and whatnot, don't just mess around with your teammates. Focus. Try to take in what those coaches and those resources are telling you so that you can learn. Obviously, there's too much information at times, and that can be overwhelming, and you need to know who you're listening to and who you're trusting. But if you're not trying to improve your brain and your hockey IQ, you will fall behind. Be a student of the game. 3, take responsibility of your development. This is a quote taken directly from the United States National Team Development Program. It's very simple. You are responsible for what you're doing. If you have a workout or a practice or a game or an off-ice day where you're supposed to be watching video, be responsible, be accountable, be in control of what is happening in your career and in your life. The longer you go when you are only doing what your coach tells you to do or what you think you're supposed to do because someone else told you to do it, the worse off you're going to be. At a certain point, it's up to you to take control of your development. If you're at a point when you feel that your shot is not good enough or your puck control is not good enough or you're skating or you're not strong enough, focus on those things. Those are things that you can work on at home as well. Or when you're in practice, you can work harder on them in the drills that you're doing with your team. Focus on your nutrition. The older you get, the more important your nutrition gets as well. So, when you're a young kid starting off, you can pretty much eat anything. You can do whatever you want, and you're probably still going to feel okay, and you're still going to play well. The older you get, the more important that becomes. So be responsible for what you're eating and what you're putting into your body. Be responsible for your development. Big one. This one is huge, not just with hockey. It's with all aspects of life. Be a good teammate. this is something that for the rest of your life, whether it's hockey or not, you're going to be involved with other people, whether it's a family member, a friend, a romantic partner, whatever it is, a coworker. You need to be a good teammate, and that starts. You can learn those lessons through hockey and through your sports. So everyone is always focused on themselves. You also need to focus on the team. There are simple things you can do, whether you're just being there for a teammate if they're going through a tough time, whether they are, and that can be on the ice or off the ice. We've all been in situations where a teammate makes a very obvious bad play, and then that person comes back to the bench. Don't jump on that guy negatively. Pick that guy up. Make sure that he knows what he could have done better if he needs to hear that at that time, but support him, carry him. If a player or if a teammate is going through a tough time away from the rink, be there for him, help him or her. And then, just sacrifice. Like, it's not all about you getting your points and your goals. Make sure you're just being the team or the teammate that is doing what they can to help the team. If your coach wants you to do a specific thing or your coach wants you to play a specific way, being a good teammate is following that because you're putting the team first before you are. And if you do that long enough, the team will get rewarded and you will get rewarded as well. So focus on being a good teammate. Lastly, on this list, don't rush to the next thing. Focus on the current moment that you're in. Someday you will be beyond your hockey career. You won't be playing anymore, and you'll wish that you took in every moment that you had with your team while you were playing the game. Whether it is being on a bus, whether it's sitting in the locker room after a practice or a game, whether it's just getting ready for a game, knowing that you have that feeling of the game tonight. Just slow it down, live in the moment. I know that's difficult in all aspects of life, especially when you're a young kid, but it's important to do. You can't just rush to the next thing. You need to focus and slow down and enjoy all those ups and downs throughout the season. So, like I said, that's part one. There's tons of different things you can focus on. Those are just 5 things that I thought were good for all players to focus on when you start a new season. So next week or the upcoming episodes, I'll have 5 tips for hockey coaches and hockey parents. So yeah, that's the first list. And now let's send it over to my interview with Drew Welsch. Drew is a current pro hockey player. He graduated from Trine University earlier this year after playing 4 seasons for their NCAA Division III hockey team. He then finished last season playing with the Port Huron Prowlers in the FPHL. Drew grew up in Trenton and played youth hockey locally for Trenton, Grosse Ile, and Belle Tire. He then played 2 years for the Trenton JV team and 2 years for the Trenton varsity team. Following high school, he moved to Canada and played 2 years of junior hockey for Stratford in the GOJHL, before playing a year for Toledo in the USPHL. I've known Drew since we were kids. I was a little older than him, but like we discussed in this interview, our brothers played youth hockey together and again in high school, so we grew up around each other. I've always enjoyed watching him play, especially while he played for Trenton. He was a smooth, skilled, creative playmaker, and that is still the case today while he begins the next chapter of his career. Drew is also one of our original SDI guys when we first started back in our garage in 2015. He then helped us with our SDI programs as a coach when he got a little older, and today he plays in the SDI Elite League. I'm happy to have him join me for this interview, and I hope you enjoy. All right, Drew, how's everything going for you?
Going good. Just getting kind of ready for camps coming up. It's about time for hockey season again, so I'm getting excited.
When does camp start?
Most of them are first week of October or late September, some people report, but it's seeming like it's going to be the first week of October for me.
And who are you playing for currently?
It's still up in the air. It's kind of a tough world, the minor pro hockey stuff. So I've gotten invites to a couple different SPHL teams, so going to decide which one I think is the best situation and go give it my best there, and then kind of just play it day by day once I get down there.
Nice. Yeah, I know so many guys, especially this time of the year, they're in a similar position. It's like you've got guys that are getting called up and traded and pulled down and all these different things. So I know a lot of guys are in a similar situation with you, but it'll all work out the way it's supposed to.
Yep, just kind of wait and see.
Exactly. So give us like an overview, and we'll dive into everything. But just give us like your quick overview: where you grew up, where you played growing up, your youth, high school, juniors, college, all that good stuff.
So yeah, all the way up for me was similar to a lot of people downriver. I played for the Trenton, just Trenton minor hockey here, Trenton River Rats. Dante's dad was the coach there, and then moved up a level. I played with the Trenton 99s for a couple of years. Had a lot of buddies in that age group, so I moved up, played with them, and then went back down to the Groseal Islanders. We had a good team. We kind of had one year where, like my first year there, where it was a good group and we did well in states, and then we kind of split up. And when we kind of split up, we caught fire and we kind of just won 2 state championships back to back. And I think we had like a record of like 53, 2-1 or something ridiculous one year. We were really good as a minor team. And I'm not sure how it really worked, but we ended up just taking over a Bell Tire team for, I think it was 8th grade year. So I played AAA for 1 year of my life. And then after that, I played 2 years of JV hockey and then finally made the varsity team. Played there for 2 years. Loved my time there. And then ended up playing in Stratford of the GOJHL my year after high school. So played there, loved it there as well. Went back another year for year 2. And then COVID kind of ended that year, like during a playoff run. So when I got sent home, I really had no idea what I was going to do. And then the only league really kicking around was the USPHL. And so I knew a lot of guys were on the Toledo Cherokee team there. So they called me and told me to come skate one time. I came and skated and played the rest of my time there. Ended up getting looked at by Trine, spent 4 years there, and played a few games at the end of my senior year with Port Huron Prowlers in the FPHL. Did well there, and then I'm going off to camp now.
I'll pump your tires a bit for your age group, like the Groseal 2000 team that you mentioned. I mean, that team was loaded. Those teams were really good teams. I know you said you guys won 2 state championships. Is that what you said?
It was 2.
Yeah, I remember that. No, those were good teams. I mean, so many guys were on those teams and all went on and played and played were top players in their respective high schools and all that stuff. That's good stuff. And then you mentioned at the beginning, you said you played Trenton River Rats. Is that what you said the team was called?
Yeah, that's what it was called. Not sure exactly why, but Dante's dad called us the River Rats, and he had the big board with the action figures, and I remember that team like it was yesterday. That was my favorite thing ever.
I will add, so to give you some context, I don't know how it completely started, but before that team, so I'm a 96, and there was the Trenton 95 River Rats for Dante's older brother.
Okay.
So I don't know if that was the first River Rats or if someone was before, but there were multiple River Rats teams. So that's it's kind of ironic to hear you say that, in the 99s is the one you were involved with, because that was, I mean, years later.
That group was actually 2000s. That group was actually 2000s, and then I bumped up to 99s. That group was just called the Trenton 99s, but the 2000s group was the River Rats.
It's funny how that kind of comes around. I played on Trenton Thunder growing up, and I know at that time everyone had their own name. Now everyone's just the Trenton Blades and the THA. So it's good they have unison, but there's all those random team names we had.
I know, it's kind of funny. I know my brother's was the Trojans, so.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. So you mentioned all that, and then you said you played 1 year AAA. Was that year of AAA like a big jump for you? Do you feel that you were ready? I mean, you said that your team kind of like turned into Bell Tire AAA, but how was that experience?
Myself personally, I don't really think I was ready. I mean, we were dominant at the AA level, and I just don't think I really knew what we were getting into as a group. Like, our team struggled for sure, but I think myself personally really struggled. It was just kind of an eye-opener for sure, and then I definitely struggled that year for sure.
So after that, you go from that team, you said like 8th grade or so you're Bantam, and then you go play Trenton JV following that for your freshman and sophomore year. So what was that transition like? I mean, you say you're coming off a year where you struggled. Were you just trying to get back into, like, did you struggle with loving the game and enjoying it too, or was it just like skill
It
wise?
wasn't as much as loving it. I always have loved the game, but at that point in time, I never really saw like a future. I would have never have guessed I'd be playing pro or college hockey at that time, just because I thought AAA was the one route you had to take, really. So when it was kind of devastating to
Mm-hmm.
go play go play for the JV team, just as far as a hockey future standpoint, but the JV team was unbelievable. My got to play with my brother for a year. We were loaded up with juniors because the varsity team was so good that year. So we also won states that year, and it
Mm-hmm.
was incredible. It was a fun year.
Yeah. No, I mean I think so many guys that are in a transition period, especially as, those freshman sophomore years where you play for good teams growing up in youth hockey and then you get to high school and you're not quite ready to play for the varsity team. And you have that window where you're probably too good or you're kind of beyond just like the normal lower levels of travel hockey. So you either play like an Iserman level team or you play for a JV team. And I've seen so many guys have a story similar to yours where that experience gets them ready for varsity, even though they might think in their mind at the time they're ready. That 1-2 years of development really helps them. It's kind of like playing in the American League for the Griffins before you get called up to the Red
Yeah,
Wings. So it's good you had an
kind of
experience like
getting.
that. And you played with your brother, you
Yep,
said?
I was on a line with my brother all year. I like to think I had more points than him, and we didn't really keep too many stats back then. But Coach Don Springstead told me I had more points than him that year, so I'll hold that on him forever.
That's good stuff. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, you and Jay playing on the same team together must have been a cool thing. Obviously, me and Griff played together, and I mean, if we go back before that, in an unorganized hockey setting, I remember playing street hockey with you in front of our house and in your guys on your guys' street. Me and you versus Griff and Jay because it was older than youngest, and then the two brothers the same age. So those are good times
Oh
too.
yeah, those were
So
the best battles ever. I actually think those really helped, like as a player, a lot. Just as far as seeing the game and making plays. We played so much street hockey when we were younger. I think it was very valuable for us.
it's for me too. It's good to hear you say that because for me too, and that's one of those things. I mean, you know, a super common thing nowadays is everyone says that players need to play multiple sports and players spend too much time in like an organized setting where they should just go out and play street hockey or play sticks and pucks and do so. So you're a fan of that? Like you think those experiences help shape you as a player?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. As far as the creativity and just having fun with hockey, I think it like those are the things you kind of remember were just the random sticks and pucks with everyone and just I don't know. I think it really helped out just like being creative out there and being able to make plays and adapt in certain situations. So
Totally agree. Totally agree. That's good stuff. So you played 2 years of JV, and then you make you said finally make varsity. So you make varsity as a junior. What was that transition like from JV to varsity? Do you think you were ready at that time? Like you spent those 2 years. Like how was that transition?
that was another kind of weird year for me. The year before, I had broken my wrist pretty bad. Like I was done, and um, coming off of that, I just didn't probably train or do the right things with that, and I just don't think I was ready to be playing against those bigger, stronger guys at the level that I could have at the time. I mean, I did okay my junior year, but I think that with the summer of training that I did correctly the year after my junior year, it really made the big difference. But
Mm-hmm.
so I think I was ready for the jump technically, but I didn't do the correct preparation to be at my full potential for the jump.
What do you have anything specific you think you did differently to prepare for your senior year?
I mean, it was more just I think the summer into after my after I broke my wrist that summer, I was laying off weights. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I couldn't really shoot the puck as much as I wanted to. So it was just little things that kind
Mm,
of held me back. But at the same time,
sure.
it, I probably could have been doing more things that could have offset me not being able to shoot pucks every day or stuff like that. So I think just kind of using my wrist as an excuse that summer to not do the right things was kind of the problem.
I would say, I mean, I totally hear you on that. I mean, it's tough dealing with an injury. I mean, it's scary dealing with an injury and that type of thing. So, like, when you're dealing with a broken wrist, especially, like, you can't even fully stick handle or shoot and everything, like you said, like the whole sport is ruined for a period of time. You could technically be on the ice and skating and stuff, but like, that's not as fun whenever you're 15, 16 years old and you can't even touch a puck. Like, we all want the puck on our stick, especially the way that you play. You're a playmaker and all that type of thing. So that makes sense. So just recovering from the injury, and then obviously your senior year you took off. I mean, I hear stories, and I've told people and pumped your tires so many times about the way that you played, especially your senior year. I mean, if you look at the stats, and it doesn't all come down to stats, of course, but if you pull it up, I mean, you lead the team in points. You're like double in goals from the next guy, and you're the leader in assists as well. So, what was that season like? And walk us through kind of like how you experienced that season individually, and then also as a team.
That season was incredible. Um, Obviously, I think, like I just talked about, I think I did all the right things, or we as a team did all the right things in the summer before that season to get ready. And I mean, we had a couple guys that were planning to play and they left, and then so there I was out of nowhere going to be in a way bigger role than I was
Mm-hmm.
planning to be. So coaching kind of giving me confidence, telling me they're going to need me to step up this year. I think all of that stuff combined just kind of gave me the confidence and the boost to play how I really can and perform during the year.
Wow. So that team, I mean, that team goes to the final. You guys lose in the state final to Heartland, a loaded team. And you said that there were guys that were gonna play that didn't, and your role steps up. How are you dealing with that at that time? Like, do you find out or kind of hear that you have a bigger role in the summer? Is that in the fall? Like, when do you hear that? And are you just like, all right, I gotta lock in and go, or what is your thought? How do you handle that?
Yeah, at this time it was in the summer, so we kind of knew he was going to be one of our better forwards, like probably in the whole state. So he, when that news kind of happened, I was told, "Hey, you're gonna have to dial in this year." And I was already doing the right things at that point of the summer, but I think I really turned it on at that point, and then that gave me confidence throughout the MDHL season before the actual varsity year starts. I did
Mm-hmm.
pretty well in that, just through all the training and just kept playing. I played my game during that, and that also gave me a lot of confidence headed into the year. So I think it was confidence had a lot to do with it, and the fact that I was kind of needed for the team, and it was kind of all I could do. So
That's awesome. That was a really good team, a really good roster, and like just good guys. Obviously, we've had Dante on here a few weeks ago, and you got Litchard on that team, who Thackeray on that team
great.
as well,
Oh
right?
yeah. Um, a lot of
Yeah.
guys you
So
guys know, all the Cormiers, or Joey Cormier is our goalie. So
yeah, good team. And then so obviously one guy I didn't just mention there, Olin Shapaniak. Did you play with him the whole season on a line, or was it just in only the times that I remember? Because it feels like when I think of you in a Trenton jersey, I think of him, and when I think of him, I
no,
think of you.
I think it was the whole entire year. It started during those off season like summer and fall games. We were kind of getting thrown together with
Mm-hmm.
Dunner. Us three kind of went into the year like, let's hope we play together. Hopefully we play together, and then I think Dunner got bounced around a little bit, but me and Nolan stuck together basically the whole year. It was 11 and 12 out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I remember. No, like I said, I mean, I literally think of one of you in a Trenton jersey. I think of
Yeah,
you.
we probably looked
So,
similar too. A couple
um,
righties,
you got
similar numbers, and just
exactly. That's the thing. Because a lot of times, when there's like those duos, you think of like a lefty and a righty, and maybe one's tall, one's shorter, and you guys look so similar. You kind of skated
yeah,
similar too. um, you know, Similar gear look. Like, I believe. Okay, this is very hockey nerd, but I believe he had his socks go over his skates, like over the front and like he didn't tuck at all. I think you tucked in the back. Did
you're
you?
right. I know that about him too. You're right about both of us.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
funny.
All right. So that's a
That's
random.
probably the only
Other than, but
difference.
I don't think the Yeah, for sure. Well, that's good stuff. So obviously, you have a good experience with Trenton and varsity and everything. And then after you graduate, you end up going to Canada to play for Stratford, like you mentioned in the is that the GOJHL at the time? And how did you end up moving there, or how did you end up getting signed there?
So the only really I was planning to try to make the NAHL. Went to one main camp, didn't work out great. So then I had a buddy that's a year older than me who had just played a year in Waterloo Siskins of the GOJHL, and he had nothing but good things to say about it. So I went and played a prospect camp game, it's like an all prospect game. None of their real players were playing, and it was Waterloo against Kitchener. So I played that game, and I don't know, it was 2 weeks later. I haven't heard much back from either of them, and it was Stratford's head coach that called. So I ended up going to play in Stratford in the same league played against Kitchener and Waterloo all the time. But I love my time in Stratford. I'm so thankful it was them that called.
That's amazing. So just kind of random how that happens. And I when I was looking at that roster just to kind of get a feel of I believe you were one of the only few Americans on the first year, and I think the second year you were the only American. Is that
Yep.
right?
No, my first year it was definitely only one or two, and then the second year I think I was the only one for majority of the year. Um, I mean, those guys, they're very similar to the way we are here. Those guys are all so cool. I mean, the only real difference was the accent. That's kind of the only thing I would get made fun of a little bit. But
Right.
yeah, that's about it. Those guys in Stratford were unbelievable. So that's kind of what drew me back for the second year. I probably could have taken my chance at another NA main camp and tried to crack that league, but I felt like I was developing enough in Stratford, and I loved it there. All the people there were amazing. So,
Nice. How far is that from Trenton when you're driving there?
uh, about 3.5 hours. So once you get over the Windsor border, you're like 3 hours away.
Okay. Nice. Nice. And then as far as like you go to a new place, you're playing with a new team with new teammates. Did you have a difficult transition? Like so many guys, obviously, especially this time of the year, they go and they're playing juniors in a new area they've never been, or they're going to play college. What was that transition like for you on like a personal level? Not necessarily just hockey, but was it difficult to adjust, or were you just ready to go and all that?
Yeah, hockey wise, I was excited. Everything felt normal, but the wild thing for me kind of was my initial billet that I moved into. He forget exactly what job he did, but he was never home, and the house was basically just mine all the time. So I wasn't terribly used to cooking my own meals or doing everything around the whole house just to be ready for the day. I'm used to having a whole family around. So that doing that at 18,
Sure.
19 years old was definitely a little eye opening for me. And, but once I kind of got settled in to that billet, I loved it there and got used to everything. And then actually my second year in Stratford, got a new billet, was with family that was kind of there all the time and loved it there. So it was a little difficult at first, just kind of learning how to cook and kind of do everything on my own.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm sure there's so many of those random billet stories. So that's an interesting one. I haven't heard that too often where they're just not.
Yeah, he was always like just on random trips to like Iceland, Greenland, like all sorts of places, would be gone for like 2 weeks at a time. So it was
Really?
strange, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, that's unusual. So you go that year, that second year, and you just said you go back the second year. That year you lead the team in points, 54 points. What was that like? How did you grow from that first to second year? Was it just kind of like earlier where you're going from your junior year of high school to your senior year where you're just older and more experienced, or what was that? How did you make that jump?
I think being experienced for sure helped. And I think kind of just opening my eyes that a lot of the guys there were planning to be done after their age out year. Like they might have had full time jobs that were going on and then coming to practice at night. So I kind of had to realize that like this is all I'm doing, so I need to put everything I got into it. So I think I kind of just learned how to train better throughout the season, do a little bit more extra stuff than the rest of the team was doing, and kind of just learn how to train on my own better than be more in a team, like be limited to just a team setting.
Wow. That's impressive. No, that's huge on you to acknowledge it at the time and make the most out of it, cuz I mean, like you said, if you've just got hockey you're focusing on, you better give it all. So that's good. You'll be more proud of that someday whenever you can totally reflect on it. I'm sure you are now, but even more so that'll stick out to you more. And then, so you go from Stratford, and then, so this one, I want to spend a good chunk of time here, like kind of going through stuff about your college experience with Trine, because you're a guy that you get recruited there, and you play your whole college career there, and obviously it's fresh. I mean, you just graduated there earlier this year, so what was that? How did you end up at Trine of all the different places that you were playing? And I realized we just touched a little bit, or we kind of skipped over the Toledo stuff. That was right after COVID. So you played Toledo for a little bit after COVID, and then you go to Trine. So how do you end up at Trine?
Yes. So I guess coming right when COVID hit was, I mean, we were up 1-0 in the second round of playoffs in Stratford. So it sucked that had to end. Like I really wanted to just be back there and win a Cherry Cup there.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of where my head was. So when that didn't look like it was happening, they kept just saying 2 more weeks, 2 more weeks. I kind of just didn't think hockey was going to work out. I was starting to look at other options and see where life was going to go. And then everything started to open up more, and I realized I had more time than I was thinking originally. So had a lot of buddies from Trenton that were already playing down in Toledo, went down there. And then it wasn't too long into my time being there where the coach approached me and said, Trine's interested in me and my buddy Tim Oregon from there. So Tim and I ended up going on a visit together, and we both loved it. I think I committed the day after, and then Timmy committed as soon as the season was done. So it was really my only option was Trine. I had nowhere else to go. Nobody else has reached out to me yet, anything else. So when they did, and it was so close to home, and I loved the campus and everything about it, it was pretty easy to say yeah.
And you mentioned Timmy. So did you play with him at Toledo as well?
Yeah, he had come, like, he was in a similar spot as me, like waiting to see if he was going to go back to the Null or whatever what his plan was. So he came like a week before I ended up coming to Toledo. So Toledo got us both at a similar time, and that's when I met him basically. So
nice. Yeah, so you guys have been around each other for a while.
Yeah, we kind of lived together the last 4 years, and kind of we went to Port Huron together. He also played there in a similar spot.
Yeah,
probably going to be heading down to an SPHL camp now. So it's nice to have a resource like that doing the same thing as me, basically.
awesome. Yeah, that's good. That's so important. I mean, so much of this is just the people you meet along the way. So that's really good. So you were at Trine. Walk us through just like a typical week for you, because obviously we're all, everyone thinks about college hockey and wants to play college hockey and all that stuff at a certain point in life. But what is your typical week as far as, like, do you practice at 9 a.m.? Do you practice in the afternoon? Do you have class? Like, how does that week will look for you in the middle of the season?
Yeah, so Trine's setup is pretty cool. We have our own little weight room right inside the rink, so we don't need to go to any separate buildings or anything. So we just split our team up basically into 3 different groups. You're either early in the morning, you're right before practice, or you're right after practice. And then based on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have practice at 1, and then Tuesday, Thursday, it's typically 3:30. So we rotate with the women's team there. So we have our classes in the mornings, or our workout before. It depends which one we're in. And then we hit lunch and then right to the rink. And then it's either lift or skate after. And then typically once or twice a week, we'd have a second skill session for half the group. And then the other half the group would go at a different skill session. So a couple times a week, we skate twice a day. But
nice. So when you're doing those skill skates, are they like position specific? Is it like forwards and D drills, or is it just kind of like overall hockey
It
drills?
kind of depends on the time of year or scenario. Sometimes it's all forwards, sometimes it's all D's, sometimes it's power play, sometimes it's just a random group of guys maybe who didn't play
Mm.
the weekend before or something like that. Or it could be anything. It could just be optional and anyone can go out there. It's kind of just depends on the week.
What about the off ice stuff? Like you just mentioned with the different groups, are you guys like is it mainly weights? Are you guys like is it more like conditioning, like running and stretching and yoga, like, or is it everything?
Um, Pre and post season, we'll be doing the running like sprint work stuff, but during the season, it's typically just weight room. Like Monday, Tuesday, we'll get a little bit after the weights, and then Wednesday, Thursday, we're kind of getting more stretched out and prepared for game day type of thing.
Are you someone who has a full like pre-game routine where you have to stretch a certain amount, you got to do the ladder, you got to do all these different things? Or are you pretty easygoing with all yours?
Once I get to the rink, it's kind of just based off of what I'm feeling that day. I try to do the same things before the rink, like maybe nap similar times, eat at a similar time. But once I get there, it's kind of just however I'm feeling. I just want to feel good and have energy for the game.
Nice. Yeah, that's good to have that routine. Um, So you mentioned like Timmy, and I know there's other guys like Bobby Price and whatnot that I've met through you, and guys that you played with for multiple years at Trine. What was that like going through 4 years with some of the same group of guys? And then also just on a personal level, what is it like going from, a program where you start and you're a young guy on the team and you're just getting acclimated, and then before you know it, you're a 4 year guy that's been there and you have all these experiences. So on a teammate level and friend level, and then also on like a personal level, what's that growth in that time period like for you?
I think it's awesome to have a group of guys that sticks for all 4 years. I mean, what's cool about Trine is right when you get there freshman year, you move into a dorm called Maddox Hall, and it's just a small little dorm building, but it's only freshman hockey players. So my year it was just 10 guys. It was all the freshmen on the team. And by the time we graduated, I think we had six of us still left. So a lot of us were able to stick around and stick all 4 years. And I think just based on that year, we got so close and it only grew from there. And you can really tell by year four that we were a tight group.
Sure. It's cool how you do that. How do you grow as a player over that time period where like you're a young guy and then you know exactly the routine your junior and senior? How did that go for you?
I think the older guys, when we were freshmen and sophomores, helped us out a lot. Like when we were freshmen, we had a senior class of three guys. So they knew that they were going to be
Mm,
passing the team off basically, and they wanted to leave the team in a better spot than they started in. So I think just learning from them,
mm-hmm.
and we had a great senior class every single year I was there. So we kind of just, by the time year four came around, everything just felt easy. Everyone below us even knew what to do. But like when you have such a strong leadership structure like that, it all seems easy by the time it gets set. Like once it's set in stone, it it all
Mm-hmm.
just works together.
No, no, that's good. I mean that's important. I mean, if you have the leadership and you have the tight group, like you said, like with your class, from there everything just gets easier. Like if you have guys that are not on the same page, of course, that's when it's difficult. But when you've got guys on the same page and you have the same goal and you're bonded, that's a huge deal. Did you have the same coaching staff for all 4 years there?
Yeah, we rotated assistant coaches, and they had a couple different assistant coaches, but same head coach all 4 years. And one thing he really stressed when we first got there was just being leaders on and off the ice, and just being people on campus that we want professors to love the hockey guys, and we want to make everyone's day, whether it's on or off the ice. So I think just having that standard set from day one when I get to Trine, it made it easy to follow by day four or year four.
For your like with that standard and how that grows over time, was your senior year team the best team that you played on at Trine? According to the records, when I looked at all four of them, I think that's the best one. But what was that team like?
I think we got better each and every year I was there for sure. I think our freshman classes only kept getting stronger and stronger since our group came. I mean, I'm not sure what the record was before we got there, but it the COVID year they struggled. They played Adrian a lot and a bunch of D1 teams, and it was a tough year. And then to have I think it was 17 or something 18 wins my freshman year. It was just really encouraging, and I think we built on that every single year and finally made the tournament by year 4 and made an impact for sure.
That's a perfect transition to the next part. So when I'm going through all the stuff, it showed that it was the first NCAA tournament experience for the program. And what was that experience like? And then I see you guys even won a game in the tournaments. What was that whole experience
It
like?
was incredible. Definitely just a whole different vibe with having all the NCAA logos and people around the rink and stuff. But it kind of started the week before. We lost in our conference semifinal. So we don't really know if we're going to end up getting the at-large bid or not. So the conference final weekend, we have all the guys in one living room just watching every single conference final game, hoping it all goes right. And everything went our way, thankfully. And we get in and do the whole selection ceremony with a lot of the school was there watching and stuff. So it was definitely different. It felt bigger than the rest of the season. It was exciting. Having a home game was incredible too. It was packed.
Right. I was going to say, so you guys got to host it. Was that just because you were a better seed than the other team?
We got the higher seed for our first matchup, and then Hobart was higher for our next game, so we went over there.
What's that like? Was that the most packed game that you played at for a home game at Trine in your 4 years there? Was it that tournament?
Yeah, absolutely. I think by far, to be honest, it was incredible in there, and I think our coach even said it was the most filled he'd seen the arena since the first game ever for the program. So it was sweet in there.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's I mean those games. I mean that's playoffs is what everyone looks forward to every year, of course, and that vibe change from just regular season to playoffs is my favorite part because you're going from just like that regular, normally by like January or February, it's kind of like okay, now I'm 3-4 months in, depending on what level you're playing at, and you're like, all right, I'm ready for the extra intense emotional time. So that's awesome that you guys got to experience that. You got to play a home game and then also host it. So you guys play that first game and then you go and play. You said Hobart. What was that like? That one was on the road. They hosted that one, from what I can see. Is that correct?
Yep, they hosted. I mean, it was exciting. We knew right when we beat Oswego that we were going to get to play the best because they had won back-to-back years and they'd been ranked number 1 all year long. So we were excited to get to play them. And I mean, I think we gave them everything we had. We had them up 2-0 and ended up losing the game in overtime. But I'm proud of how we did it. I think we went to Hobart and gave them everything we had. And I'm looking forward to how those guys respond this year from that.
Your coach, after the game in his interview, he said it's probably the team that wanted to win more than any other team, and he added in there that he's been doing this for a long time. I read a little bit about him, and I mean he's coached all over. He's been at Trine for years. He's been elsewhere before Trine. Do you agree with that team was the team that wanted to win the most?
I definitely can't see any team wanting it more than that. Just for example, the senior class of the guys, when we got back and cleaned our stalls, that we just sat in the locker room for an hour and just in our stalls looking at each other. And our coach came down and started just telling us stories and making us laugh, trying to make us feel better and whatnot. But we just didn't want to leave that room. We wanted to win there very bad. And we're proud of what we did, but we definitely thought we had more.
That's the hardest part about all of it, right? It's just that moment when it's done and you're sitting in the locker room and you don't want to leave because you want to just do it again. So I think everyone can relate to you on that one. Obviously, you're moving on and playing elsewhere, and you got a whole career for you. How does Trine look this upcoming year? Because for you, like you go in, you help take that program to a new spot in your 4 years. They continue that going moving forward. Like that's a credit to you and your class as well. So, do you know what they're like how they're looking heading into this season?
Nothing about anyone new that they have. I know nothing about that, but I know the guys they have back are incredible, and I know they're hungry to finish what we started last season. So I think
Sure.
they're poised to make it right back to where we were last season, if not further. I think they have a big season coming for them.
So with the three guys who I've just talked to in the last month, obviously Dante and then Connor Nagy and Milhorn, all three of them have like a similar thought on how junior hockey is, it's kind of just more like individual, like you're there for a shorter time period, where college is, you're building something with that same group. It sounds like with the way that you explain trying, I mean, you're there with that same class for 4 years. Do you look back at college as it was a good experience for you playing hockey with this program?
Absolutely. I wouldn't change it for anything. I think the last 4 years have been incredible, and just being able to, I mean, I think it started in 2017, Trine's program or something like that. It hasn't been around too long. So I think just being kind
Mm-hmm.
of early to the program and being able to set some footsteps, that I think is going to be like a storied program for Division III hockey. I think it's a lot to say, and I think I enjoyed my time there. I loved it there.
That's awesome. It's cool to see a program be built over time, and I mean it takes so much work out of so many people, but to take those steps every year is a huge deal. You mentioned you've got camp coming up, and you're figuring out what's next for your next team this year. Uh, Fast forward a year from right now, do you have any thoughts on if you think you want to play beyond this year? Do you think it'll just be a 1 year thing, or is it really like? Do you have like a personal goal where you just want to know that you played for a year and then you'll figure it out, or is it just kind of what happens happens?
I'm kind of just taking it day by day. I kind of want it to make this year last at least in the SPHL level, and maybe get a call up or something to the East Coast level. I think when I hit the point where I don't feel like I'm improving anymore every year, I think that's when I'll be done. But for now, I love it, and I'm having fun every time I'm on the ice. So I don't think there's a reason to stop now.
For sure. I think that's a great way to put that. You can apply that to other things in life too. You do it until you're not getting better and you want to do something else. What is do you have thoughts on being involved with hockey when you're done playing, or is that not something you've even thought about because you're just so focused on playing?
Definitely,
Like, do you think you'll coach or
I've
anything at all?
definitely thought of it. I've been a part of the different skills camps and stuff. I love to help you guys out with SDI, and I've done a
Yep.
lot of stuff like that at Trine with the kids. So I do love doing the skill development part of things, but I mean, I've also thought about coaching. Just a lot of commitment there. I'm not sure how, exactly. I will definitely stay around the game. I just don't exactly know how yet. Nothing planned.
I think when I pulled up pictures like recently, it was in my like Facebook memories. It said like 2018, 2019. You were in one of the pictures of being on the ice that
Yeah.
summer. It's at Lincoln Park. It's pretty
Yep.
crazy how that's all that's come about. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. Well, cool. That's you'll be a good addition to coaching in whatever capacity you are. If you're ever around it, just as a non-parent or as a dad someday, or if you just never do anything with it as a coach and you're just a good influence. I mean, it's you love hockey and you got to keep that relationship with the game. So that's good that you're doing that. Um, Last part here, this part is something where it's difficult because there's so many people that have played a role in your career and helping you get to where you are. But is there anyone specifically you want to kind of give a shout out to, or who comes across your mind when you're asked that?
Um, well, yeah, definitely the parents. Obviously, couldn't have done that anything without them. They take me everywhere, support me everywhere I go. So that's for sure. The other one, I think Keith Knighting. I know you know him. During
Mm-hmm.
that little
Mm-hmm.
transition where my role was changing on the varsity team and I was headed into my senior year, he helped me out and gave me a lot of confidence just heading in, and then even moving on, heading into Team Michigan tryouts and all that stuff that came with that year. He helped me out and gave me a lot of confidence. So definitely him. Um, and then one of the assistant coaches at Trine, Jared Buzzard, he's just been an unbelievable resource for me and the whole senior class, everyone that he's been a part of at Trine. He's a great skills coach. He's one of the smartest hockey guys I've ever talked to. But then, just since he's been away from the Trine team, he's been able to come around and kind of talk to the boys as more of a friend, and he's an unbelievable resource for me. So shout out to Jared Buzzard for sure.
Awesome. That's good stuff. It's cool that you have those from different levels too. Obviously, Keith, when you were younger and at high school age, and I'm sure you guys still keep in contact now. And then you obviously have the college coach that you mentioned too. That's good stuff. Well, you'll be able to look back on all these things that you've experienced and with playing and everything someday, and you have a lot to be proud of. And for me, like, I've watched you from afar. Like I said, I remember playing street hockey with you when you were a kid, and I'd be around Jay all the time because he was playing with Griff, of course. And it's cool to watch you play this whole time from afar. Obviously, I'm not around you all the time and at every level, but your growth from I literally remember you playing on Gross Seal 2000s as a kid. I remember watching you play in high school, and then I've seen clips and stuff over the years with juniors in college. So I wish you the best of luck with the next couple weeks of stress of figuring out what's next, and then throughout the whole season when you find out where you're going, and it'll be fun to watch. So thank you for your time here.
Of course, Andrew, thank you for having me. Thank you for everything you're doing, SDI, for hockey around here. It's unreal. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Drew. Appreciate it.